That is the purpose of dark triad maxing, annihilating every single positive shyness, kindness, and any other type of that shit to destroy every single simple-minded bully and other types of earth scum that you might find out there. All those fucking 6-foot, blue-eyed bullies, all these Stacys, all of them, they are scum. They need to be put in their place, and so it is needed to become a monster to fight monsters. Become cognitively kind. That means that your kindness comes from logic and not emotion. Emotions are weak and slavish, and they, by definition, are not rational. These people that fucked you up don't deserve your kindness. And they treat you like a monster even though you treat them like people, so why should you treat them well? There's no logic in this. Fuck your emotions and the effect of upbringing in your psyche and become a monster.
So this video originally started as an idea that I would go into the deep corners of Reddit in search of the darkest and most hateful communities that I could find, trying to bring them into the light and discover how some truly interesting hate grows. But the truth is that I just couldn't find enough content to make a deep dive on. I really did want to stay on Reddit, but it looks like that's not really going to be an option for me. It looks like I'm gonna have to search for these people on their own turf. I'm gonna have to go into the far reaches of the surface internet. So, here we go. I want time to really give each group of people the justice they deserve, so for the sake of making longer videos, I'm gonna split this up into a series. If you were hoping to get to Nazis today, I'm very sorry, but I'm saving them for later. Today we're gonna look at a group of people whose own community can have vast amounts of variability in beliefs. We're gonna be taking a dive into self-identified incels. If you're unfamiliar, incel is short for involuntary celibate.
Celibacy being the choice to abstain from sex, and involuntary being without volunteerance.
Hence incel. You see, these are people who would like to be engaging in sexual intercourse, but for one reason or another can't. Most of their plight is pinned on their belief that women really have the true power in the world, and that because sex is everything, they've reduced men to worthless human beings, and that everybody hates them just for existing as virgins. There are many reasons for being virgins proposed on incel forums, but there seem to be a couple of main reasons that they provide. The most obvious being looks. They say that they're just plainly unattractive. Height is another big complaint. They suggest that women don't want them because they aren't 6 feet tall. A lot also suggests that they are just incapable of talking to women. Either they have certain social disabilities or they're just simply awkward. There are a multitude of blights that incels have, and you'll find most of them on the central hub of incels.co, which is the main incel forum. It was initially under the name incels.me, but the .me domain had shut them down due to policy violations, specifically for allegedly encouraging violence. But before we dive into the forums, we have to discuss the language we'll have to understand to start reading through them. Incels use a medium variety of lingo that could be the difference between your understanding and utter confusion when reading through a thread, so let's get up to speed. Some terms you may already be familiar with are Chad and Stacy, though if you are unaware, don't worry, for I shall explain. Chad is both the envy and hatred of most incels, as he represents the desirable man. He's tall, muscular, has strong bone structure, and best of all, treats women terribly. See, incels believe that it doesn't matter what Chad does to women, because they still will always want and return to him, because he is attractive. Some incels want to be Chad, some say that being Chad repulses them because he has no substance. It's a piece of the community that could be divisive at most. Stacy, on the other hand, is kind of the female equivalent. She's hot, dumb, cruel, mostly blonde. She's your basic bimbo, and she only wants Chad. I think it's safe to say that most incels absolutely despise Stacy, and why wouldn't you? She's a complete caricature of attractive women, what with being completely shallow and uninspired by everything. Most of the time in the forums, women are referred to as femoids or foids, and this is kind of a way to demean them, but I think at this point it's just the word on the street. The suffix cell will also be added at the end of certain traits as a way of defining the reasoning for someone's inceldom. For example, a height cell would be someone who is an incel because of their height. GFE is a term you'll see a lot of. It's an acronym for girlfriend experience, and this refers to the genuine liking or physical affection that someone will have for you. You might be wondering to yourself, why don't incels just pay for sex? Well, it's not really that simple. Some might, but most have come to the agreement that they don't just want sex, they want someone who genuinely enjoys their company, and part of what angers them so much is that they feel that women will never enjoy their company, because women only want attractive men. There are many more terms, but these are the ones that might confuse you without context, and well, the rest can be pretty intuitive, but I'll be sure to explain them as they come along in threads, so rest assured. The incels define ideology with three terms: the blue pill, the red pill, and the black pill. Average people are blue-pilled, unknowing or in denial of the reality that women control the world through sex and that you will only get the affection of a woman if you are a normie, average-looking, or Chad. Red-pilled individuals are aware of the reality of the world but still hold some hope that there are ways to fix their situation, such as making a lot of money, working out, getting a nice haircut. Whatever it is, there is still a glimpse of hope, even if infinitely small. The black pills, on the other hand, have come to the enlightenment that they are doomed. The world is the way it is, and they are stuck in the eternal hell that is inceldom. Nothing can be done, they are worthless in the eyes of society, and they will live in this torment until the day they die. Incels have various ways of defending their ideology, but one of the most favored arguments are copes. Copes are activities or ideas that people might partake in to try and escape inceldom, such as working out, making a lot of money, or believing that personality is key. When somebody provides some body of evidence to suggest that they may ascend from being incel, others are sure to beat them down by simply replying, "cope." This trend perpetuates the constant depression that is felt on incel forums and also details how the incels really are their own worst enemy.
When a normie wants to be friends, an orbiter with a foid, she will test it for around a week. During that time, he must compliment her, make her laugh, give her gifts, and serve as her emotional diaper if she has problems with Chad. After that week, if the woman is pleased, she will naturally allow the normie to hang out with her. If she's not pleased with the way he treated her, or simply if she doesn't like the normie, she will ghost him completely. And if the normie persists, she will cold-heartedly threaten him. If he doesn't leave her alone, well, she's going to press charges. Do keep in mind that in all scenarios, the normie has very few chances of turning that friendship into a loving relationship. Women save that exclusivity for Chads who don't need to undergo that process. And I don't need to tell you that opportunity is possible, only if you're a guy, at least a 6 out of 10. Subhumans, though, are completely excluded to even try.
As a compensation for my suffering in life, I demand the government give me a virgin 18-year-old wife. I don't want some used-up roasty that Chad already fucked. I've missed out on life and I demand reparations. Just like the N are demanding reparations. Privileged sex havers must pay for this. Do I really want my first love to be some used-up roasty? No. Give me the lovely legal 18-year-old virgin wife. I will make sure that she has enough to eat, but not too much, so she doesn't get fat. I will put a roof over her head. I will provide for her and our spawn. The only demand that I have is to be truly faithful and have sex with me whenever I tell her to. She must give me oral and anal, just like she would give Chad oral and anal. This is my only demand. Otherwise, she is free to live as she pleases, within limits.
I don't think you'll be surprised to hear that a lot of incels are misogynists. This stems from the fact that they think all women are the same, mindless, sex-crazed whores who enjoy nothing but choosing the best genes for the continuation of the human bloodline. A lot of the hate towards women stems from previous interactions or experiences with women, and here's where I think the problem lies. If you believe that all women are the same because of your past experiences, then any interaction you have with them is gonna be influenced by this belief. You'll start to think that you're being treated a certain way because they are this and not because you are that. Maybe you are nothing but nice to a girl. Well, guess what? That doesn't entitle you to their heart, because at the end of the day, people want who they want. Some women will fall for the attractive asshole, but that in no way means that all women will. Some men will fall for the beautiful yet evil woman, but that doesn't mean that all men will. Demeaning all women for the faults of the few is just as absurd as saying that all incels are mass shooters just because some of them have been incel. You get up, you check Tinder. You have literally hundreds of matches even though you created Tinder yesterday. You spend some time looking at which one to choose and which one to talk to. You have so many options that you don't even know which one to choose, so you talk to anyone. You go to the university. Everybody treats you well, talks to you well. They know you're there and will chat with you. One or two guys might have invited you to the cafe, and since you know they're simps, you go with one of them. In the afternoon, you talk to that one guy on Tinder. You go to his house and fuck. Have fun. He has fun. And the next day, you go back to start with a different guy on Tinder. There are many problems here, but let's get into the root of a big one. Notice how this description centers completely around finding mates. Nothing about dreams or interests or regular people things. It's all about men. They think this way because in their minds they've reduced women to these inhuman creatures that do nothing but scour the earth for desirable guys. They've tricked themselves not only into believing that their looks are their only value, but also that their looks are the only thing that other people value as well. Perhaps women don't want a man who doesn't have any value in himself. I've been mistreated by women a lot in my life, whether they led me on because I had a car or asked for innumerable amounts of favors because I was willing to give them, but I've also been mistreated by a lot of men in my life too. In life, people will mistreat you, and to that statement an incel might respond with the fact that men also treat them poorly for being ugly. And some men will do that because some men look better than other ones do and they're assholes. I was called ugly all throughout middle school and high school by guys and girls alike, but that doesn't reduce my value as a human being because I'm smart, I play the guitar, I make people laugh, and I'm nice with a knife, and other people appreciate me for that, and some other people find me attractive, but I used to get so hyper-fixated on the ones who called me ugly, and I would get into this mindset that that was the only thing that other people valued, but that's just not true. I have female friends that aren't attracted to me, but they still value me because I value myself, and I value them as friends, but I don't expect that because I value them that I should get to sleep with them. That's not how the world works, and that's not really how it should work. Hating women is perfectly okay and justified. What is the reason you hate someone? You hate somebody when that individual did you harm. You can also hate somebody because of their behavior. All people hate liars, manipulators, narcissists, etc. Bad traits are what get people hated to begin with. Ask any normie you find in the street and ask him what he thinks about zoophiles. Chances are he'll say that he finds them repulsive. All the traits I mentioned above could be found in the average woman. The only thing women truly care about is their offspring. Even that isn't always the case. All women are manipulators from the highest order. Nature made them that way so they can survive. Women keep lying about their situation, although the chances of you living a comfortable life increases significantly if you're a woman. Just marry a wealthy guy or open up an OnlyFans account. Easy money. Men can't do any of that. And in order to succeed, we have to work hard. All of that wouldn't be a problem if women would shut the fuck up and not push envelope all the time about how men have more chances and shit. Women contain all the negative traits every person hates, and for some reason, it's a taboo to hate them. Yeah, here's where self-proclaimed incels have a point, if albeit misguided. In the human species, women are the selectors. That's just how it is. Females in most species tend to be more choosy with who they mate with, and there are evolutionary reasons for this. One of these is called the cost of reproduction. This is the idea that an individual has to think about the survival costs that reproduction may have on them. There are other animals, such as fish, where females actually compete with other females for the males. This is because the male actually has a larger parental investment. Female fish will deposit eggs into a brooding pouch that the male will take care of largely on his own. Therefore, the male is more selective with mate choice, and they choose this based on their own evolutionary tendencies of what makes a good fish mate. With human females, after sex, you may become pregnant for 9 months and subsequently have to become a tad bit ill-equipped for survival on your own for a while. We mammals have to breastfeed our young for a long time, and this can be classified as a parental investment, which usually is higher in human females. Now, obviously in our modern society, this is not really a problem anymore, but these behaviors are bred into our common ancestors over millions and millions of years, so they don't just disappear after the tiny slice that is modern humanity. So you're right in saying that you may have to compete for female attention, but the truth is that that's not 100% of cases. Shakespeare wrote about Viola wanting Duke Orsino in Twelfth Night, so clearly throughout history, women have gone after men enough to write fiction about it. Now you might argue that women today only want Chad, because Chad possesses the evolutionary traits that the human brain can't resist, because psychologically women want to choose the fittest of the species. But may I remind you that women can think for themselves, and think past evolutionary psychology, and choose who they really want to be with. And some women want to be with Chad. And guess what? Some women don't. But you know what some women want? A man who is well put together, someone who takes care of themselves, so maybe he is fit, or has nice teeth, or is confident. And men want the same thing from women. Mostly all incels refuse to settle for a fat chick, and I know this because I've seen it on the forums. A lot of them say they won't have anyone who isn't white for some reason, like that matters, and this is a point of contention between incels. White cells, would you be happy with a noodle whore? After the black pill, I definitely wouldn't. I hate noodle whores the most, even though they are probably the only race I'd have a chance with, and that's a big if. There's just something mean about them, and I'm pretty sure they are demons of another realm. Thoughts? Some incels call others who won't sleep with someone who isn't white a volcel, aka voluntary celibate. So clearly, there are some pretty strong standards in the incel community, pretty prejudiced standards, obviously, so maybe you are actually the chooser. In this thread, I'll try to break down the black pill on a more in-depth level. As paradoxically as it might sound, it will be a big rope fuel and cope fuel at the same time for anyone reading it till the end. It will put things into place, especially for those who are living in the West. Foids' most important qualities are youth and beauty. What do Foids want? Provision, food, shelter, protection, security, safety, intimate relationships with males that have the best genes, aka Chads. Many people will say you'll never ascend if you're a virgin at 18. No, not really, because the percentage of virgins at 18 is significantly bigger than at 25, for example. You'll notice that these people make every little aspect of life so trivial. Perhaps this quirk in your personality is what turns people off. You don't have to say any of these things specifically out loud to turn people off. If these are your sentiments, I would think that it leaks out into the rest of your personality. Something you'll notice is that incels have what seems like mathematical equations for the way things are in life. It's both the simplifying of women and their individual situations that seems to make things so complicated. When you create all of these standards and traits that you can't possibly attain, it can start to make things look very hopeless. This isn't how people think about things. It's not a big conspiracy that attractive people have an easier time. I know this, but I'm not creating algebra with it. I will never be Brad Pitt, and I don't want to go out with women who want nothing from me but to be Brad Pitt. I don't think anybody does. But these men have taken the realities of evolutionary psychology that we discussed earlier and made it into such a game that they believe that all women want you to be Brad Pitt.
It's like it completely goes against everything they're taught. They can't understand the concept of just getting fucked by genes and that being the end of it. Although, don't get me wrong, this is still their state usually anyway. They've just been trained like such good little dogs that if they obey their Freud masters, they'll have been good boys. They can't accept that it was over from the moment they were conceived. Perhaps the funniest thing is though, how they'll say sexuality is inherited, that nobody can choose who they're attracted to. Yet, if you acknowledge the latter, you are directly admitting that inceldom is totally uncontrollable, as there will always be people who nobody is attracted to.
Sometimes I feel unworthy of liking conventionally attractive girls. I legitimately feel guilty for thinking they're GL and wanting to be with them, because I am not seen as good enough. Is it okay to lust after the Stacy Menace? Isn't that the whole point of attractive women?
A very large part of the incel community is self-loathing. They constantly hate on themselves for being who they are, partly because they feel that other people hate them for existing.
All foids hate virgins. I guarantee you that every single one of those fucking useless fuckmeats has used the word virgin to insult a guy at some point in their lives. For them, a man is only valuable if he's able to pull any bitch at any time, because those fucking whores can only think about sex with Chad all the fucking time. Jesus, they even hate other female virgins too. That's why society is full of sluts, because those bitches pressure each other to see who gets to fuck more Chads. I fucking hate those fucking useless pieces of fucking fuckmeats. I'm glad they fucking scroll in pain every fucking month during their periods.
This sentiment stems from the belief that they have no value as people because people only value others for sexual opportunities. In addition, incels seem to be no help to each other, as most comments on forums are just brutal jabs at themselves and their communities. It's an eternal spiral of hopelessness and pessimism that doesn't solve any problems. I believe that a lot of self-hate comes from the fact that incels believe that society hates them because of their virginity. I've already mentioned the belief that the society hates incels earlier, but now let's dive into some more testimonies as to why they believe this.
School system hates me. 17-year-old, nearly 18-year-old, Inkler. 2 weeks ago, teacher gave us huge and tiring things to do. We had to write the whole essay on data analysis of some cellular respiration experiment. Normies did in pairs. I did the whole thing by myself and spent nearly 6, if not even more hours on it. Got the highest grade, but the normies, including those smart bitches, failed. The teacher decided that the assignment criteria was too strict, and thus she deleted all the grades, meaning that I put in the effort for nothing. I asked her if she could leave my grade in the system, because, contrary to normies, I did well. She said no, and responded with blinking eye emoji. Fucking communism. Many people will say you'll never ascend if you're a virgin at 18. No, not really, because the percentage of virgins at 18 is significantly bigger than at 25, for example. You'll always have a chance of ascending regardless of age, but the chance becomes smaller and smaller as time goes by. But being a virgin is a big turnoff for women past 21. If you're 18 or 19, women will still date you if you're a virgin. If you're 20, 21, many women still won't care, but there will start to be a lot of women who will consider it a deal breaker. Past 21, many women won't date you if you're still a virgin. Once you're past 21, instant red flags enter their heads if you're still a virgin. They want guys who can dominate/control them in bed, because foids want to be super submissive. Only the tall, muscular, 10 out of 10 alpha males with deep voices and long penises with big girth size will attract a lot of foids. Any beta trait will make you have the sexual market value of a 5'2" balding Indian janitor.
Why do normies expect low-value men to just be okay with dying alone? They expect you to just be okay with receiving zero affection or sex in your entire life. They expect you to just accept that and die a virgin, never feeling any love.
The second you try to act like you want affection and sex like any other breathing human does, they literally turn hostile and start insulting you and shaming you for it. They get angry at you, acting as if you're a piece of shit. Yet at the same time, they think they are owed it themselves, and also think they somehow earned it. The blue-pilled mind thinks that it somehow was responsible for receiving sex or affection, and not just mostly due to good genes. It makes my blood boil how you're just expected to be okay with that.
As you can see, a lot of these people believe in the totality of their worldview because of personal experiences or cherry-picked situations. Now, I'm not doubting personal experiences because I've definitely had experiences with bad women, but we as people tend to become hyper-fixated on bad experiences over normal ones or even good ones. We start to blame the wrong things for problems that we have in our lives. People with BDD do this especially, and I know this because I've been diagnosed with body dysmorphic disorder. I used to pin every single bad experience that I had with anyone on the way that I looked, and when you come to that conclusion, it can be very hard to think critically about certain things. Let's analyze some of these examples. In the post titled "School Hates Me," this guy laments the fact that after spending hours and hours on an essay alone, his passing grade was tossed out the window because all the other pairs in the class did not get passing grades. This is a fair criticism of the situation. That is really messed up, but anyone sane who looks at this situation knows that this has nothing to do with inceldom. When students fail, teachers also feel that they failed as educators, so this can happen quite a lot in school, and I've had it happen to me before, but I'm not defending this decision, merely pointing out what's really going on here. But these people can't see that. That's brutal, not gonna lie, but normies will defend normies. I want to become a surgeon, so I have to study, Max, but it seems like you're not entitled to education as an incel. If the bitches did well and you failed, they wouldn't see any problem with it, and they would make sure nothing gets deleted, because that wouldn't be fair. It's clear to see that they are justifying the accuracy of their assumptions with the halo effect, which is a term that can be used to explain the reality that often in life better-looking people seem to have more opportunity. But the halo effect can also be defined as the tendency for people to use unrelated information to make judgments or decisions. In this case, the teacher would be using the looks of the normies to justify the fact that they should be let off the hook for failing, while the inferior incel does not deserve the victory of his grade. But there's also another way of looking at it. You see, I actually think that incels have their own variant of the halo effect. I believe it's fair to say that incels come to their own diluted conclusions, that they are discriminated against, by using their own unrelated information, that being their looks. As I mentioned before, it's easy to get hyper-fixated on your looks and subsequently determine them as the source of all your problems, as I once did. Now, I must repeat myself, there is no question that attractive people have an easier time in this world. That is a fact, but we can't go further into that and determine that our attractiveness is our only value. People who have good looks are very fortunate, but I know a lot of beautiful people that I would kill to stay away from for the rest of my life. Moving on, in the post titled "One of the Biggest Turnoffs for Foids, Being a Virgin," Edmund Kemper links to a couple of videos detailing a bunch of women giving their thoughts on virginity. And if you take the videos at face value, then this can be pretty incriminating.
Do girls like virgin men?
Oh my god. No, they don't. Not at all.
I mean, I think if you're like 20 years old and you're a virgin, you're probably, like, there's something wrong with you.
I mean, being at 27, yeah, if you're still a virgin, yeah, I would be like, bye.
The women in this video seem dumb and cruel, but let's actually think about this for just 1 second. First of all, these are edited videos on a specific prompt. These guys are going out with a camera and asking women what they think about virgins. What kind of girls do you think are going to stick around for this interview? What kind of people do you think the editors are going to keep in the video? How does this sound? Guys ask girls if they like virgin men. They answer, "Oh, I don't really mind." End of video. Yeah, that's not a very intriguing video, is it? But hold on a second, because here's what's also in the videos.
If you're 30 and still haven't had sex, that's completely fine. I think there is a societal push that if you're a virgin after prom, it's kind of weird, but I think you save it until you find the one you're supposed to be with. If that's at 15, if that's at 45, you be with who you want to be with. So
I suppose it depends on the man. I mean, on if he's mature or not. I
I don't think it really matters, actually.
Yeah, why not? I mean, it doesn't really matter, to be honest.
You can see how incels selectively choose what evidence they want to pay attention to. Lastly, in the literature titled "Why Do Normies Expect Low-Value Men to Just Be Okay with Dying Alone?", a man questions normies for their lack of empathy and ignorance for the incel plight. This is a good article for understanding the disdain that incels have for normal people because it outlines how they think other people see them in a way that others don't. It's a true basis for the reasoning behind their seeming oppression. Let's dissect this though. First of all, people do not expect you to just lie down and rot if you can't get laid. People expect you to take your life into your own hands, because the government isn't going to issue you a mandated sex slave like some incels want. Some very small amounts of people may seem hostile in the face of your pain because it is your responsibility to take care of your needs in life, nobody else's. Finally, people don't feel that they're owed affection. Some people are just lucky enough to not be debilitated by ideologies that their lives are over because of their looks. Good genes will help you with sex. They will. I promise you they will. And some people will have to try infinitely harder. But the world wasn't made by those who didn't try. I promise that to you as well. A lot of threads on incels.co contain suspicions or questions that some have about the way in which the sexual marketplace pans out. And it's in these threads that I want to close on because it is where, in my opinion, the incel argument is crushed right in front of their eyes. But they're so invested in their delusions that they fail to even recognize it. Listen to these stories uninterrupted.
If we assume incels are between 0 and 3 on the sexual market value scale, looks and/or autism, bad genetics, Chads are 8.5 to 10 and Chad Lights are 7.5 to 8. The normies are the guys in the middle, between 4 and 7. It's going to be easier for the 7s, and some will cuck max to get a girlfriend and allow her to fuck loads of Chads while she gets the benefits of a free meal ticket boyfriend. Others will beta bucks max and give her a life of luxury in exchange for transactional starfish sex. But what about Joe Average, the guy who is a 5 or 6 in looks but has a girlfriend? I tend to think these guys just got lucky once and make sure they keep the girl because if she leaves, he's incel. I know some bros like this who have a girlfriend, but I don't know how they did get lucky to find her. For what it's worth, they found them before Tinder became what it is. So in the future, more of the 4 to 7s are going to be identifying as incel because the ways and means of finding a girlfriend just aren't there anymore. Not unless they're rich beta bucks or prepared to accept poly. Normies will be the new incels in the next decades. It's beyond over for us. Normies I know who have girlfriends. The reasons why I'm suspicious that they ever have sex. When I see girls around Chads, the girls are laughing, touching the Chad, kissing him, hugging him, etc. So it's not a big jump to imagine the girl already with her arms around the Chad and kissing him will also sleep with him. When I see normies with their girlfriends, it always looks like just 2 friends. Never see kissing, hugging, or touching at all. Just a guy there and a girl a few feet distance from him. What got me suspicious was the stem cell company I work at. All the lower tier normies in my office who have girlfriends, they never have children. Isn't it a little odd that a 20-something guy can be in a sexual relationship for 5 years with a 20-something girl who loves sex and is horny all the time, but I never see her get pregnant? Because in the same situation with Chads, Chad Lights and normie tall when they are with the same girl for a few years, she starts having babies. The normie argument for this is that even though their girlfriends are hot and horny all the time, their girlfriends don't have any maternal instinct and stay on birth control. The normie explanation for why their girlfriend doesn't do any kissing or hugging or act sexual in public is she likes to keep that side of her hidden from the public. You see how if one of these things was true, but otherwise the woman ticked off the other boxes, you couldn't let it go as unusual behavior, as each person has quirks. But when none of the boxes are ticked off, it starts getting harder and harder to believe.
Now here are incels that are confronted with the reality that women can love people who aren't Chad, but instead of opening their eyes, they dig further into the conspiracy of Stacy's world domination. They're incapable of seeing how a normal or even ugly dude can satisfy his partner because of what they've spent years believing. Now, the opposition to that is that I'm actually the one who's brainwashed because I've spent years being blue-pilled, and so I'm fighting the Foyd's battles like the trained dog that I am. But the truth is, I'm the one who wrote an entire essay filled with evidence and anecdotes suggesting that you are wrong. So let's talk truth here and quit the games. I'm sure you could see on your own that it would take a lot of time to rehabilitate these people. The reality is that these people are confronted with the truth all the time but are too invested in catastrophizing their situation to see through to it. These people that desperately need help and kindness and compassion don't get it. The hardest part about getting through to people like this is that you have to show respect towards someone that will not show respect towards you. You have to have compassion for someone who holds evil beliefs, but if you don't make that first step, then nothing's going to get better. Now, this is not about playing the centrist. This is about playing your side but understanding the other. You have to make an effort to reach these people. And it's because of this fact that they feel so hated, because I believe that very few people do make the effort. All you ever see about incels is media making fun of them, so it's not hard to understand why they feel so hated. In conclusion, I just want to say that incels, I hear you. That being said, I think you're wrong. You want to talk about cucks? You want to talk about who's the beta here? Let's look at the people complaining about how the world will never accept them because of their tainted beauty. Get off the ground and learn an instrument. Go lift some weights. Become the fastest runner in your neighborhood. You can do that because you're human. What's even crazier is that incels would shoot down my words and state that all those things are just copes for the truth that sub-8 men will never amount to anything or worth any respect from anybody. Or you can quit being a cuck and take your life into your own goddamn hands, not by going on a rampage and shooting people like Elliot Rodger, but by becoming the best human that you could possibly be. Set your own damn goals. I don't have to tell you what you want to be.
Okay, that's my show. See you later.